All right, here it is. This is the workbook and journal that I purchased from Amazon. This is to help you get the most out of reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. It is a very well laid out book, I believe, that is going to help me to organize the things that I feel are important as I'm going through this book, as well as helping me to develop an action plan. And if you are interested in joining a group about reading nonfiction books and actually applying them to your life, then you'll want to check the description box for more information on that. So let's do our super quick flip through of this so you can kind of get an idea of what you get in this workbook and journal. First, it has just the chapter layout, right? The table of contents of Atomic Habits. And it's going to tell you here how to use this book. I'm not really sure why you would need a whole page to write down of how to use the book, because this isn't even a whole page, but whatever. So basically you could cover this title up if you wanted and use this for extra note space. I think that what I'm going to do for my specific case is I'm going to write out our reading schedule for this book, as I mentioned about this group that I'm hosting. And so I'm going to lay out our schedule here on this page. So this says, before you begin, take inventory, good habits you want to develop. There's a couple of pages for that. Again, before you begin, take inventory of some bad habits that you want to eliminate, and a couple pages for that as well. And then basically this book goes into the same format that the nonfiction book is written in, with all the chapters, and it gives you some highlights and key points, and also tells you, this is for the introduction, but it also tells you, see the author's chapter summary on page 28 for chapter 1, and so forth. And it gives you note space so that you can organize your notes, as well as you might want to have a little bit of extra space for like mind mapping, brainstorming, those type of things. And you could obviously add in some paper for that, like if you just used blank paper, which I'm thinking about doing for some of the chapters. But these initial chapters and the beginning, I've read 3 chapters so far of this book. And so this initial reading is just a lot of information. And so you would need more of this line space. When you get further into the book, there might be activities, which it kind of looks like there is. Obviously, I just said I'm only on chapter 3. But it has like habit plus or minus equals, right? And so you have this other space to do what the book is asking you to do. I will, new habit, at time, in location. So if you needed some extra space to just kind of think before you write on here, I'm also, then you can add in some of those extra pages. Just staple them in, tip them in. If you're a planner, you know what that means. But also just kind of utilizing even the outsides of these margins is very helpful. So I'm just going to kind of talk as I flip through these remaining pages. There are 20 chapters in this book, so it's not super thick. I will show you that view here in a moment. But what I'm doing and why I think that this is going to be helpful is if you purchase the book in a digital format, say for Kindle, like I did, when I'm reading the book, I'm highlighting as I read things that stand out to me, things that I want to apply to my life. And then I can add brief notes if I'd like, because usually I'm reading from bed, or I'm getting only like 10 minutes to read or something like that. So I add in an initial thought. But then what I want to do is come back and use this book and say, okay, I wrote this down. Let me summarize this. Yes, there are absolutely places where I'm going to take quotes and write quotes in this book. But it's about summarizing, and it's about applying the book to your life. Why are you reading the book? Right? Are you reading it just for information? Or are you reading it to actually get new habits and get rid of old habits? And how are you going to do that? That's what my group is all about. It is about figuring out what that looks like and how to accomplish it by setting goals, creating tasks to get these things done. So after I get finished reading, when I get to a point where I can come in and go, okay, what do I want from the book? Because how I teach it is your reading response journal, which in my case for this book is going to be this book that someone else created. My reading response journal is to be a place that has the information that I find pertinent at this time in my life, that is going to add the most value to my life during this season. What do I want out of it? What do I need in front of me? You can't highlight everything because then nothing is highlighted, right? You've heard that before. So what do I want out of it? Out of this chapter, write it down here. And I haven't read these highlights and key points that the person who created this book decided to put in here. So I don't really know how in line it is with the author's chapter summary. But so I can give you an update too as I go along, as I use this. I will absolutely do that. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments. Okay? Say yes, interested in more. All right? And so I don't know, like I said, I don't know if that's in line with it. I mean, obviously it's not like way off track, right? But I don't know if this person is repeating what the author is saying, or, how those kind of line up. So I can let you know more information about that. But I feel like there's adequate note space because, again, thinking something is good, thinking some context is good is one thing. But do you want to write it down? Right? That's the question. It's not saying it's not good if you don't write it down. But what do you need? What are you trying to do? What are your goals for this book? Any nonfiction book, but specifically Atomic Habits. A lot of people have read this book. But have they done anything? Let me know. I want to know. Have you read this book? And if so, what have you done with it? Okay? Was it just information and it's back on your shelf? Did you pass it along to somebody else? Like, okay, I read that, right? Was it a tick box that you accomplished? Or was it actually improvement, developing? Okay? I'd like to know. Let me know. Start a conversation. I'm seriously interested in that. But yeah, it's got some, I don't know if this is going to be too much space. When I look at this, I'm like, really? That's a lot of room. Habit stacking and temptation bundling plans. So we'll have to see if I think that, look at this. Is this overkill? I don't know, right? We'll have to see as I work through this. But I like the layout. I do like the layout of it. I feel like there's enough structure here that it's providing some guidance for me. But it still has a lot of room to write, I feel like. We'll see. We shall see. So here we are. I know I stopped flipping the pages. Ooh, looky here. Brainstorming, mapping your goals. Very easy, moderate, hard, very hard. How to stop procrastinating by using the 2-minute rule. Brainstorming. So it does give you a little bit of space for that. So maybe that's why, there's some extra room here. And then maybe you can say, okay, no, I'm done brainstorming. This is it, right? So that might be an option. I don't know. Again, I'm just thinking as I'm looking at it. These are my initial thoughts. So, habit contracts. Looks like there's a lot of those. I think that'll be helpful. Because we're not, I mean, obviously you can't have a list that's like crazy long, right? But at the same time, if you think of things, you should write it down and put it on the list. Conclusion notes here. The secret to results that last. All right, appendix, little lessons from the 4 laws. And that is in the book. I remember reading that appendix. Miscellaneous notes. So there's a little bit more space there. Master habit planning right here. And what strategy you're going to use. So there's quite a few pages of that. That looks helpful. Habit tracker, month and year. So this is kind of planning, right? This is, you recognize this layout a little bit. Similar, I should say. And there's also space for notes, which I kind of like, you know. Let's see if that's the end. I'm trying to flip the pages here. If you found this book useful, please leave a review on Amazon. Thank you for your purchase. It's about time. Journals, planners, and calendars. That's who put this together. And there's a couple of white pages right here that you could use if you needed the space. I feel like it's user friendly. I feel like the size is good. It feels incredible to touch. And I'm really excited to get started.